Hello there. We are underway in celebrating our first year anniversary. And if you don't already know about it, I'm hosting a raffle and giving away more than $2,000 worth in cash and prizes. So if you or a friend have access to an Apple product, you can enter to win. For the complete details, go to sayyesToYourSoulPodcast.com. All right, here we go with another soulful episode.
Started realizing, oh, none of that's true. What actually is giving me life isn't a government. What's actually giving me life isn't a job. What's actually giving me life isn't any man-made thing. What's actually giving me life is source.
Hi there. My name is Tessa Lynne Alburn. Welcome to Say Yes to Your Soul. This is where we're going to talk about how you can get past your spiritual plateaus, raise your feminine energy, and express your true self with sparkle. Hello there. Today, our guest is a woman with a lot of presence, grace, and power. Her name is Amanda Elo'Esh. Amanda is the founder and president of a dogma-free, sacred, entheogenic, living wisdom nonprofit. She's been receiving visions and guidance for these very powerful times of uncertainty and transformation for more than 40 years. She's had a very unique life and studied and trained with world-class teachers, healers, indigenous wisdom keepers for more than 20 years. And she's done academic studies as well in psychology and personal development. As a spiritual success mentor, Amanda helps you clear subconscious blocks and activate your spiritual gifts. She utilizes repatterning, sacred feminine archetypes, and plant medicine ceremonies. And she's also celebrating the recent publication of her second book entitled Elevationship. I'd love to give her a warm welcome. Welcome, Amanda, to Say Yes to Your Soul.
Thank you, Tessa. Thanks for having me here today.
You're so welcome. And, we've been getting to know each other over the last few months or so, and some of the things that are seeming to want to come forward today are probably around the unraveling codependency. So this concept of caretaking and sacrificing as a woman, sacrificing oneself for others. And I'd really love for you to go ahead and connect with our listeners today as you bring them into your world.
Beautiful. Well, what I have found is that even though my life journey is unique as everybody's, I find that there are certain experiences, lessons, feelings that we can all relate to the heroine's journey, which is a bit different than the hero's journey. And I'll start by where I am right now, and today is my birthday.
Woohoo!
And I've had the honor of working with a couple of different Mayan shamans and then another teacher who studied Mayan cosmology, the cosmovision. And in the Mayan tradition, when you turn 52 is when you can step into elderhood. And like up until that point, you're busy learning and doing and raising and doing all the practical things. And at 52, you step in as a wisdom keeper. If that's your calling, it doesn't just it's not automatically given, but it's the gateway. And I had let go of practicing Mayan shamanism actively, although it's definitely woven into my consciousness, indigenous wisdoms woven in, many different lineages of shamanic and indigenous healing practices, perspectives. I had let it all go, and so I hadn't really thought to give it the ceremony. And then in a ceremony for somebody else, a private retreat, it came in a powerful initiation came in, and I was given guidance to do this rebirthing. And so that's what I did yesterday with some dear friends into the wee hours of this morning. And it's just been a profound experience. I feel incredibly grateful for my life. I know that Source is with me and guiding me and available in every moment. And I wake up each day grateful to be alive and knowing how to connect and get the answers that I need. And I feel a sense of my own divinity and power on a level that I never conceived possible as a human being. When I was a child, before the traumas of being a human, which I can talk about in a minute, which we all experience if we're in a human body, before it had taken its toll on my belief and connection with my own source self, my own infinite power, I had profound visions and samadhis. I was raised Mormon, so that vernacular I didn't have that vocabulary or even concept, but it was happening directly when I would tune in to God or infinity and just ponder or just allow myself to connect a natural way. And so I've had that connection throughout my life. And then I've also experienced the human reality of being raised as a female by a mom who was born and raised during the Depression in southern Utah and not really knowing her self-worth, not really seeing the true power that she held, not seeing her gifts, and not really, and she had her own traumas that impacted certain, activated survival and scarcity programming, and doing all of her magical, amazing mother loving me and raising me and 4 other children who are significantly older than me, still passed on a significant amount of those survival programs and conditioning and limiting beliefs. And some of those are that I need to take care of everybody else, and that taking care of myself was selfish, and that I needed to be just like Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Needed to be just like Jesus and take care of, heal everybody, heal the sick and feed the hungry and shelter the homeless, and I'm a powerful woman, and I'm a powerful manifestress, and I accomplished a lot and did a lot, and got a lot of accolades, and fortunately given an amazing, surprisingly amazing education for growing up in the public education system. I was seen as gifted, and some of my gifts were cultivated, but then our human life, the tragedy and trauma that we experience is that it's full of a lot of trauma and survival and scarcity and systems of oppression that started thousands of years ago with dominating empires that created systems of control that would continue to operate in the consciousness of everyone and all of their descendants. That's why they were created. It's actually not a conspiracy theory. You can just read. I mean, you can read about it. It's pretty. The Romans created these systems, school systems and governmental systems, to create control over the people that they conquered, and we've adopted all of them, and our divine self that is limitless and innately connected with source and all beings is traumatized when it's told by the people who came before us, our caretakers, our teachers, people in authority, who passed down, usually with 100% good intentions and full belief, like these limiting beliefs and these scarcity programs and survival programs, like this is just what you have to do to survive. And it's traumatizing because it's not real and we know it in our soul, but there's pain and suffering involved, whether we follow it or don't. And I believe that we're on this human journey to, especially right now, this is a great time of awakening. And the awakening's been happening, and it's continuing, and it's time for us to really let go of these old systems, which are, you're not good enough, you can't take care of yourself, you're selfish if you're taking care of your life, you're not going to make it if you actually listen to what your inner truth tells you to do, if it goes against what other people's expectations of you are, or what authorities say you should be thinking and doing and buying and following.
Amanda,
Yes.
I'd like to just pause
Yeah.
here. It's such a, I love what you're bringing here. And I mean, you've done so much work, right? And who you are today just doesn't reflect that old stuff very often.
No.
And just to, if you can, give an example of like one of the oppressions that really had a hold on you as a young girl and how that impacted you.
Well, I became a caretaker for my mom and everybody else. I was groomed to be aware of everybody else's needs and to be able to show up in profound, ways as a leader, making sure that, as I was the person that, oh, we didn't prepare for this and we don't know, things are falling apart. Like I feel like I would step in. I just stepped in as a leader.
At what age did that start?
When I was in elementary school, I was in this gifted program that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in fourth grade, and the teacher, I don't even remember how it got started, but I would read to the class. I read to the class starting in fourth grade, and by fifth grade, I was giving spelling tests.
Oh, yes.
I was just seen as a little adult because I was physically very mature and tall, and I just looked like an elder, I guess, from a very young age, and people just treated me that way, and I was groomed to be that way. So it just
So you weren't allowed to be a child along with everybody else at your current age.
yeah, in a lot of ways. I mean, unless I was by myself, so I learned to be a lone wolf. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could go into the magic. If I was on my own, I would step into the fairy realms and play with the elves and the unicorns and go into my magic world. But that's one thing that I realized, was that I had all these profound multidimensional experiences, but I didn't see how they fit into three-dimensional reality. And so I realized, like, oh, I have to learn how to be a third dimensional human. And so I did my best to.
Okay, wait a second. Like when you were young, what were you starting to think? At age 10, 12, 14? Were you like, I gotta be more human? Like, I'm doing okay in my fantasy
um
world or my dream world? Or how did you really think? What were your thoughts and how did you talk yourself through it?
well, I know I don't know how far back it goes, except that I have a memory around the age of 8, which in the Mormon church is when you get baptized.
Mm-hmm.
and you're given the gift of the Holy Ghost. So your intuition, and it was kind of like I've already had this. Like I've already been tuning into this greater, what seems like God, infinity. And I would have these profound, ecstatic, I couldn't even wrap a thought around it because it was the infinite.
Mm.
Then when I would be, trying to wrap a thought around it would boot me out back into third dimensional, 8-year-old or whatever age consciousness. And I realized like, oh, that's that's what my spirit is doing and has access to all the time. I'm in a human body right now, and it's finite. It's not infinite. And I'm here to, it's like a game. Like I'm here to learn things. I'm here to share things. I've got gifts. I've got challenges. Um, and I need to just figure out how to be a human. And so
Mm.
then I got really good at like, I'm going to do the human thing really good and be a good, obedient person. So I got really good at school and good grades and trying to follow the rules as best I could. But there's this wild, holy, wild part of me that doesn't conform to these systems of oppression because the systems of oppression are made to disconnect us from that. And there was that part of me that was still alive. And so the natural questions of like, why are you treating the girls differently than the boys?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't seem fair. Why are you behaving this way? Why did I hear this about God and in this class, but now this other class, it's different? And why do people of color get treated different? All these different, why is this happening?
Why is this happening? Why are these rules not making any sense? Like
Exactly.
you were like a young disruptor.
Yeah, but I didn't. The funny thing is that I wanted to be good. I wanted to do the human thing. I wanted to be a good little human. But my natural, passionate questions about trying to understand it all really riled people up
Yeah, I'll bet.
because the questions pointed out inconsistencies and hypocrisies and got me labeled as a troublemaker. And so that was also very confusing because it was like, but I think I'm a good person. I'm really just trying to learn how to do this. And so, I went through my own journey of trauma and feeling abandoned and feeling dropped and uh, longing for spirit and realizing finally, over the many bumps and bruises, like this human life is a sacred gift,
How did you get to that, Amanda? Like, your young consciousness. How did you know that? How did it reveal itself to you?
It was again the heroine's journey. I had this entangled relationship with my magical mom and very codependent. And she went through a mental health crisis about the time that I was 10, and she couldn't show up in the loving way, for me that I'm sure she wanted to, but wasn't able to. And I interpreted that as I'm not worthy of being alive, and it was already hard enough. And it was like, screw this. I'm just going to check out. I'm going to go back to that divine place. And they were really bad attempts. They were very ignorant attempts that didn't really particularly do any real damage. But I was serious about wanting to take my life at a very young age. And many times, this disease of thinking that I'm worthless, thinking that I'm not good enough, thinking that I have to be perfect just to be accepted, kept me on a driving path again of trying to be perfect and then continuing to rock the boat and stir things up and like, wow, I didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to be good, but I have all these questions and none of this makes sense. And so what I would say, a big turning point, and I have to just say this is a trigger warning about a suicide in my life. I was married at the time, very, very young. I got married very young.
Like in your teens?
I was 19 and in college, honors program, working full time, doing all the things. I was like, everything has to be perfect. I'm, supporting myself, paying for my college, honors program, cum laude, all the things. And a year into my marriage, my husband's father killed himself in a very violent way. And it triggered a lot of things. I had become disconnected from my family. I had falling out with my mom, which needed to happen for me to claim my sovereignty and myself. It was rough, but necessary. And I realized that death helped me to realize that despite religious or political or dietary or whatever belief systems, that life is sacred, and there are a lot of surface level things that keep people from really connecting. And I just decided I'm gonna be as authentic. I'm gonna learn how to be authentic, and I'm gonna learn how to show up with other people in my authenticity and the awkwardness, and starting with my family. And it was really hard because their identity was so hardwired with their religious beliefs.
Yes.
And I almost didn't know, like, who am I if I'm not this, part of this religion, because it provided everything, this is how you do your family. This is how you do your life. This is how you do everything. And I got to learn it on my own. And fortunately, I'm blessed with having a mom. My dad kind of just followed suit. But both of them ended up ultimately seeing the love. They knew that I had gifts. They didn't know what level, because I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to share it. I didn't think that anybody could possibly understand me, and it was ineffable anyway. So I just didn't bother. I just kind of like disconnected it and was like, well, that's for me when I'm in my alone time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, why I went into studying psychology, was so that I could understand the human mind and understand, how do I bring this awareness of the multi-dimensional layers that are operating all the time? How do I bridge that for myself, and how do I share that with other people? And so that was my life pursuit, educationally, my own spiritual practices, my own curiosities, my own research, my own academic pursuits, and then into working with Indigenous healers and wisdom keepers, and from many different traditions, but mostly in the Americas, North America and Central America and South America.
Mm-hmm.
And waking up, and also working with plant medicine. Plants are literally rooted and interconnected with all things. They are fully aware of the interconnection of the elements and the animals and the soil and everything. And the master plants, the entheogenic plants, which entheogen means generating God within. It's awakening and helping us to remember our divine source. That's what these plants do. In working with them and in the other studies, and that helped me to remember these divine connections I was having as a child, and starting to see all of the programming and the systems of oppression that had gotten in the way, that I had bought into, that we all kind of thought we had to buy into to survive.
Yes.
Started realizing, oh, none of that's true. What actually is giving me life isn't a government. What's actually giving me life isn't a job. What's actually giving me life isn't any man-made thing. What's actually giving me life is source. It is life force energy that is flowing through everything. It's in the earth, it's in the plants, it's in the elements. And choosing to take the enormous leap of faith to let go of the survival programming, the scarcity programming, all of these limited, conditioned beliefs. I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to get with this system, I got to make this many Instagram posts at this time, like this, to get the followers, to do that, to actually honor, like, I'm gonna cultivate my relationship, what's directly giving me life, which is source. And that is meditating, that is honoring, treating my body. My body is a temple. My body is, that's one of the Mormon beliefs that I'm so grateful that has stuck with me. My body is a sacred temple. Not that they do it the way that I do. They have different ideas about that, but my body is a sacred temple for my infinite divine spirit that is part of source choosing to embody as me. It's this sacred union of material and spirit. And
Yes.
I'm doing this dance, and I am trusting more and more to spend an hour at my altar to guide how I'm going to do my day, instead of that influencer that's got a course that says you do it this way. I sit at my altar and I listen, and I'm getting better and better, and I have miles to go. That was my ceremony last night. I was like, oh, I'm going to celebrate. It's going to be great. And it was great, and it was perfect. And it was showing me you still have a hard time listening and trusting. You're still trying to manage. You're still trying to take care of everybody else. You're still trying to, prove that you're worthy by what you're producing and how you make others feel about you. And yes, service is the reason that you're here, but coming from a place of source guided behavior is the key. And a word that came in a while ago and it resurfaced, and I'm really owning it, is I am a source heiress. And I believe that's where that word comes from. Source heiress. I am a source heiress, and I'm here on this planet to help all those who have an inkling that that could be their reality. Yes, it is absolutely your reality. And I'm a midwife for that, to help you birth through it. I've gone through a lot of rough entries into, different dimensions, and re-entry back into this human reality through the shamanic journeys, through the medicine journeys, through just the life journeys. And I know that I am here to be of service, to help make the healing and the transformation out of those systems of oppression, out of that are, trauma inducing, and then the trauma perpetuates it, to help heal up that trauma with grace, with compassion, with loving kindness, so that we can all truly remember that we are children of source, whether it's God, goddess, the universe, the higher organizing principles that are without anthropomorphic form. However you may see it, it's a piece of it and it's not the whole thing. However we see source, God, goddess, all of it, I say everything that's greater than me, that wishes me well. There's no way in a human brain we can wrap our mind around what it is that is giving us life. So we're all accurate, and we're all not getting nearly the whole picture.
Well, maybe that's what the other 90% of our unused brains are meant to do.
And the whole universe, all the Akashic records and the whole universe is going on inside there. And our ancestors used to have access to that. It's these traumas and systems of oppression that have literally the English language disconnects us from the connectedness. There's a you and there's a me, and there's domination written into how we speak. The English language has written into it a lot of domination that we are not even aware of, because we organize our thoughts, all of us who speak English as a primary language anyway.
Mm-hmm.
My friend, dear new spirit sister, she's Japanese, and she was like, it was very shocking to come to America and hear the you and me. We don't have that in Japanese. And that many of my indigenous teachers, one Martine Prechtel talked about how important it is to learn other languages and to recognize that just the way that we organize our thoughts to express ourselves with English is innately disconnected from source. One thing that came through, I mean, I can go into mystical sound seed syllables and the vibrations of the holy singing us into reality. But that's a podcast. That's a wholly different podcast. But one thing that came in over this past week of being in a rebirth for myself is that when we talk, it only really works one voice at a time. But when we sing, we can weave in a lot of different harmonies. And literally, I'm not talking metaphorically, I'm literally like, singing helps get us into the other part of our brain that gives us a greater access to source wisdom, our imagination, our creativity. That's the part of us that is infinite.
Oh, I love that. It's like helping us get into oneness.
Yes, exactly. That's your sacred portal.
Amanda, I know we could keep going here, but I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you. And you also have a free gift for them.
I do, and I didn't really talk much about it. That's but it's all kind of wrapped up in it. I wrote a book called Elevationship, and the subtitle is Replace Conflict with Greater Intimacy, and it shares how to instead of avoid conflict in a relationship, to recognize that the conflict is opportunities for healing trauma, and how to attend to it in a way that liberates yourself from that trauma and gets you out of the repeat arguments and the weird warpy hall of mirrors where you're both accusing each other of the same thing. Yes. There's a personal trigger breakthrough guide so that you can use it anytime you're triggered, not just in like a partnership, but any kind of relationship or any kind of life circumstance. That's very valuable. And I just published it on Amazon and on Audible, which I'm really excited about. But you can get it for free by going to my nonprofit website, livingwisdomchurch.org elevation ship. And it's elevation ship. All one word, like relationship elevated. And you just scroll down a little bit, click on the button. It'll ask for your email and your name, and then look in your inbox for an auto response that will give you a link to your free e-copy, including those guides that I mentioned.
Well, thank you. I really love that you're giving that as a free gift. It sounds amazing. And I'm going to check it out for sure. I want to thank you for being here today, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm surprised I wasn't totally delirious after 3 hours of rebirthing myself, but it seemed perfect because that's what I'm unraveling for myself. The hardwired, taking care of other people and remembering my life is a sacred gift, my primary mission.
I love that. Life is a sacred gift, each of our lives. Yeah.
Yes.
Amanda, thank you so much for being here today and being in the sacred space and just letting it flow, and for sharing all these various facets of yourself. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies, I'd love to see you again next week. May you let go of codependency. May you listen to your soul. May you value your life more and more every single day. Bye-bye for now. All right. Thank you for joining us for this week's delicious episode. Before you jump off, I wanted to remind you to get entered in the raffle this month because I'm giving away more than $2,000 worth of prizes in both private sessions and actual cash. What are those prizes, you ask? Well, one of them is a private 75-minute soul light healing session with me. And that can be healing on various levels. It might be releasing trauma or tuning up your body or your emotions or clearing things like past lives and karma that's been, energetic debris holding you back. This session can be very helpful and sometimes have dramatic results in relationships, money, and in your health. And we're going to do that together on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. The second prize is a 60-minute coaching session with me, and that's also going to be on Zoom. So if you want support or clarity for your goals, like help with getting started with a project or just creating an action plan, that is going to be an amazing session. You'll be surprised at how much you come away with. The third prize is a personalized meditation that I will design especially for you. And of course, it's going to be yours to keep. So it's going to be fully personalized in terms of the content, and I will be speaking just to you so that you will be able to resonate with it and receive the maximum benefits that you want to create. Okay, now for the fun stuff, the cash. I have several cash prizes in various amounts. I've got several $50 prizes, $75 prizes, and $100 prizes. So you can see there are many opportunities to win here, and I just want to encourage you to be sure to play because you do need to play to win. All monetary prizes will be delivered through PayPal or Wise. And if you have a different currency, it'll be automatically converted for you. So as long as you have access to an Apple device, you can play. And all the instructions are available on our website at sayyesToYourSoulPodcast.com. That's sayyesToYourSoulPodcast.com. And if you need any support in completing your raffle entry, my team is ready to help you with that. You'll find their email on our webpage as well. So that's it. All the best to you, and may you say yes to your soul.